Welcome to the Launch Buddies podcast, where we empower individuals with disabilities as they embark on their journey from school to adulthood. I'm your host, Barb Beck, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Darian. And in today's episode, we're diving into the exciting and sometimes uncertain phase of life after graduation. Join us as we navigate the possibilities.
That's right, Barb. And we'll be using questions from my transition portfolio to guide our conversation today.
Absolutely, Darian. Let's get started on our first question from the portfolio, which is, what inspired you to pursue higher education or enter the workforce after graduation? Hey, Koa, it's so cool that you brought your book with you, My Transition Portfolio, which I wrote a few years ago, and it's still active, and people are working on it in classrooms across the country. And you had an opportunity this week, or actually in the last 2 weeks, to take the book home with you and start going through some of the questions that are in there. The whole purpose of the book is to make sure that there is a bridge between what is happening in high schools and then what is the activity that you're going to be doing in the world after high school. So that could be school. Some of our buddies are getting into some college opportunities, and then some people are going into the work environment. So our main question for today, that question of what inspired you to pursue whatever you're doing after high school, right? You're pursuing, Koa, some things in work, right? And also you're still in school. You're in an 18 to 21 program. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about that program?
It's to develop, you just develop skills for budgeting, and then you learn how to access the bus around the community. Okay. And then you go to internships to get your work experience.
What's one place that you've worked, or where are you working currently in your internship?
Molbach's.
Which is...
It's a garden. It's a greenhouse.
And a beautiful place to be. That's a nice place to work, I think.
Uh-huh.
And what are some of the specific tasks that you're doing there as a practice job?
I'm doing a lot. I did sweeping, and I got introduced to stocking, too.
Okay, what is stocking?
I get to stock all the fertilizers.
Oh, okay. And is that a difficult job? Does it take a lot of strength to do that? Are you lifting a lot of things?
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you're having to do to actually lift? Is it a bunch of bags that you're lifting? Are you taking them to different places? What does it look like?
Taking them to different places.
Okay. And then what, once you take them there?
And then I snap pictures so that way I know where the things go on the shelves.
Okay. So you're following a plan that they laid out for you?
Uh-huh.
That's awesome. I love it.
And I have a job coach with me.
Okay. What role does your job coach play?
She tries to help me know what my products are, what the products are in the store.
And exactly where they go. Do you have to do anything with the prices or the tags or that type of thing? They do that with you, for you?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And I didn't know, Sam, have you gone to a work experience like that? Did you go to Molbach's?
Yes, I did.
And how did it go for you?
Good. It was through the 18 to 21 program.
Which you're now out of.
Which I'm now out of.
Okay.
And also because I used to go to internships for work experience.
How many different internships did you do?
I went to 1 Green Thumbs, 2 McMenamins, 3 Grocery Outlet, 4 St. Vincent, 5 Snapped, 6 Brightwater, 7 Alyssa Burnett, and Molbach's is the 8th and final.
And out of all of those 8 different internships, which one would you say was your favorite?
I liked Molbach's.
You did? Why?
Because it was me helping out with the plants.
Okay, so a similar thing with Koa, but he was talking about the fertilizer that you stock and you help get from place to place, but you were working with the plants. What part of that did you love?
I loved helping out.
Did you water them?
Yes, the mister. And then I worked with a guy who was in his early 60s.
Okay.
Joe, who I've worked with, has been around for 64 years in our world.
Wow. Okay. So he was an older gentleman that was teaching you some of the things there? So did you learn a lot from him?
Yes. He's been around in 1959. He first was around in 1959, and now he's around now.
Okay.
And he has more years to retire.
Gotcha. So he's still working, but he spent some time with you, teaching you the job?
Yes.
That's nice. You stay in contact with him?
No, he's an acquaintance.
Okay. So you have that boundary for who you contact and keep in touch with?
Yeah.
That's great. And Darian, do you have any questions for them about what they were preparing for in school and out of school and what their experiences were like? Because you went through a similar program as well.
Of course. Sam and Koa, I wanted to ask you, where did you experience joy out of your work experiences? What did you enjoy the most about your work experiences at these places?
I like that word joy. Where did you find the most joy in what you were doing for work?
I'm being helpful to customers and greeting everybody by their names.
I love that because you are a very relational person, Sam. You do like to get to know people. You know their names. Even Joe, who you were just describing, you knew even how long he's been around, what his age is, and some details about him.
Yes, but we've been working on not asking parents' age.
I think that's really important to know what types of questions to ask people, some topics to avoid and some things to bring up with people.
And it's very illegal to ask a job applicant's age.
You can't do that when you go into the hiring process and you're being interviewed for a job or they're doing a job selection. You can't discriminate with age, right? Gender,
not.
Background, religious preferences, those types of things. Is there any other thing that comes to mind?
Saying a job applicant's age, like saying you're 45, is illegal. It's jism. And then this can get you fined.
That's very true. You can run into some problems with the state and some of the rules around how you conduct yourself in hiring people. Ageism is not okay. Okay.
No, ageism can get you fined and it can get you sent to jail.
I'm not totally sure about the jail part. I would have to look into that further, but you said that you might get fined. I think that's a little bit more likely to have something like that happen if you're an employer looking for people
I didn't understand the question about. You don't really get arrested, you just get fined.
That could be true. Now, we don't know exactly. From state to state, it could be different. So you'd have to look into that specifically for where we're at in Washington State. Let's go back to my transition portfolio and taking some of the components from that. What are some other things, Koa, that has helped you that you've gone through in the book? Some of the questions that have been asked of you. I know we talk about in there, what is your big dream for your life after high school? And I know you can answer that. You've already done some videos and things around that topic area. Is there anything that you've expressed through the portfolio development system that you want to call out?
I just wanted to say like I said on like my video, I wanted to be I want to learn how to drive a truck.
And you know a little bit about that because I think your dad does that type of work.
Yes.
And you've been around it. Mm-hmm. So you're still continuing to work on your driver's license and getting some of those foundational skills down. Mm-hmm. That's a post-school plan for you. What's another thing that you would like to do that might relate to a job that you've tried out in the 18 to 21 program?
I want to work at a grocery store.
You do? I think did you know I worked at a grocery store?
I really like all the stocking involved with it.
I did too. Facing the product, stocking the shelves, making sure they're full and the right products are out on the shelves. Isn't it nice when you go into a grocery store and it's really an incredible thing when everything is full.
Yes.
Have you been to a store when they're out of something?
No.
Oh my
goodness.
goodness.
That? What happens?
You go to the store and then you're looking for a certain item or you go to multiple stores and it's like they don't have this item anywhere.
I came strictly for that.
Exactly.
Right.
It's crazy. And the shortages that we've experienced over the recent years since COVID is mind-blowing. But it's also just a huge letdown. It's like, when did they start running out of this stuff?
It could be your favorite thing.
Exactly. Yeah. It's crazy. And then it's just, I don't know.
But when the product does come into the store and there's an opportunity, like if you want to work in a grocery store like that and you unpack the boxes and you figure out where the items need to go on the shelves.
Which aisle they go on.
Exactly. Which aisle they go on, the order in which they're displayed. And you said facing them because you want it to be nicely positioned on the shelf. That's a great job. It's something that I did right out of high school. That was my first job that I had working. It was Lucky's grocery store in California. It was great. And they hired me to do the bagging, the groceries. Yeah. I helped customers out to the parking lot with their carts. I like that because I like people. I like talking to people and making sure that they're smiling and having a good day. And so I did that part of the job. But like you're saying, Koa, I also put things back on the shelves. If things were returned to the store or people didn't take them out, like they had to go backs that you had to, like you said, figure out which aisle they go on. And it could be like a little scavenger hunt trying to find those things. I got stuck a lot in those situations.
It's so easy to get stuck.
And confused about, okay, where am I at? So it takes some time to get to know those things.
It does, and patience.
Sometimes you need to have a job coach with you, which you've had practice having somebody like a job coach in the 18 to 21 program. And sometimes people do have job coaches when they graduate and they do go into their adult experiences.
And into the workforce.
Sometimes it is good to have a job coach with you. But I know that people like that job coach to fade out, to not be with them the whole time, but to gradually let you do your own thing, right? So they move away from you and let you do it on your own more independently.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. So guidance, we all need guidance at times. And guidance in some ways, yes, is supposed to fade out as you learn and grow, and then you acquire the abilities and the skills to perform those duties, to perform what you need to do on the job.
Darian, can you tell a little bit about the story of your job coach that you had for the company that you now work for? Did you have somebody with you right at the start of your job?
I did. I had someone with me who helped to guide me, to help walk me through my duties and what needs to take place. Basically, it's another good reminder of what guidance does. But throughout the days, I learned, and he gradually faded out. And
how long would it take? How long for you did it take for a job coach to be with you, probably full time at the start, and then faded after how long would you say?
I would say maybe within a week or two.
Oh, not bad. Okay. So you picked it up pretty quickly. And for some other jobs and for some other people that need a little bit more time to feel comfortable and to get the skills down, it could take several months of time with a job coach or even longer to make sure that those skills are really down perfectly before somebody like a job coach fades out of the situation.
That's right. That's perfectly okay.
It is.
Everybody learns at their own pace. Everybody's different. But one way or another, those skills and those abilities will be acquired and will be obtained.
And then for people that haven't gone those 18 to 21 programs or don't yet know what it's like with a job coach, I know that a lot of times you might have funding through the state to be able to get a job coach and to make those connections. Maybe you have an opportunity to connect with a vendor. We call it a vendor who's a developer, and a job coach would come alongside you, find the job, and then help you learn the job and keep the job. Right? That's what a job coach would do. And so if you're listening to this and you want more information about how to get the supports that you need, both short-term and longer-term, go ahead and make sure you check out your state or county services for developmental disabilities, or for the DVR, Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, is a great place to connect and get more information about those things. We have a lot of things that we could cover in this topic area about life after high school and making that transition from school to adulthood. So much about that.
Yes.
Well, let's take a little bit of a break first. We're going to listen to a little bit from our sponsor, and we'll be right back in just a second. Enjoying the Launch Buddies podcast? We're all about celebrating the voices of self-advocates who bravely break down barriers. Speaking of brave advocacy, let's take a moment to recognize our sponsor, SDES Functional Academics. SDES offers a comprehensive curriculum, training, and consultation for students with disabilities. Their Steyer-Fitzgerald program for functional academics has been refined with input from educators and families, achieving great success in classrooms nationwide. As Launch Buddies, we understand the challenges of finding the right education. With SDES by your side, you'll feel confident and empowered to provide an exceptional education for every child in your program. Visit SDESworks.com to learn more about the Steyer Fitzgerald Program for Functional Academics and make a real difference in your teaching. Thank you, SDES, for your commitment to inclusivity and accessibility. Now let's dive back into our conversation that's so captivating with our amazing launch buddies.
We are back. Thank you all for sharing. Our next question is, what challenges did you face during your transition and how did you overcome them?
That's such a great question. And I know that Koa, earlier, we were talking a little bit about some challenges that you experienced during the transition from school to your 18 to 21 adult transition program, right? And what were some of the things you were saying about a challenge that you experienced?
I had a global pandemic.
Yeah, that's a challenge that many people went through. But yeah, global pandemic is incredibly challenging, right?
Yep.
How did that impact you?
It just shut all of it. We did not had any hangs out with friends. I didn't get an in-person graduation.
Oh, no.
No senior prom.
Oh, boy.
Nothing.
Okay. So all of the things
So I hung out with you like last.
You were in my classroom during that time in high school, and we went virtual. We had to have our class online on Zoom. And I have to say, given the challenges that we faced with a global pandemic, and
we didn't watch a lot of Dr. Dolittle, though.
I know. We were supposed to be reading a book and watching a movie, Dr. Dolittle, and learning some of our English language arts through that process, but we didn't get to.
It stopped.
It stopped right there. And hey, personally, I have to tell you, I'm sorry that happened. But I wanted to tell you how incredible it was that you went from the school to online, learning a whole new platform on Zoom, and also Schoology is what we use to deliver instruction. Boy, you did amazingly well. And I think that says a lot, despite disability, that you were able to, because you are determined and you are so good at following through and responsible, that you did a fantastic job making that transition and taking on that challenge. So I know it's still painful to think about those things, right? Because you feel like you missed out. But how do you feel like you overcame some of those challenges?
I just look on the bright side.
Which means specifically what?
I just really like being at home too. So
Okay.
you don't have to ride the bus.
It is a bright side, right? And I think you're really good at turning some of those difficult, challenging, bummer things into seeing the positive parts. And I think that's incredible. I think your family helps a lot with that too, which is great. You have a great support system at home. And one of the things that I was concerned always for you is you're such a social guy. And if you're just at home all the time, you don't have an opportunity to reach out to friends. It's very, very much a struggle. Have you regained some of that?
Not really.
Are you hanging out with friends now?
Yeah.
That's right.
I get to play games.
With who?
With Elliot, Ardith, and Sam.
And what sort of...
Oh, Bryce is going to be there, which is exciting.
What kind of games?
Like board games or card games.
Where are you going to do that?
At Sam's house.
Oh, how fun. So you set a plan. I know that our group wants to figure out a plan to go to a haunted house. And in a couple weeks, we're going to hopefully do that. Not everybody's into that.
I'm not into it either.
Oh, you're not into it?
No.
Maybe you're not going to want to do that. Maybe we choose to do something different than that everybody wants to do.
We could have a virtual haunted house.
Virtually?
Yeah.
Really? Why virtual?
Because it's fun.
Like, how would you set that up?
On the background, by the way.
Okay, so you could change the background virtually on your screen?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. I think I want to move away from the virtual stuff and back into the real world.
Oh, I see.
Although haunted houses aren't real world. It's just all pretend, pretty much.
It isn't the real world.
Great discussions, everyone. Let's move on to the next question. This is going to be our last questions before we switch into our second half, which is really charting a course into the next steps that we take into adulthood and into adult living. So how did you discover your passions and interest in the post-graduation phase? So as you're now out of school and into your adulthood and real life. How do you develop those passions and those interests that you have? I want to switch over to Darian about the challenges that you've experienced moving from school to adulthood. And I know you've highlighted for our visitors in the past, our guests and our listeners, what some of the challenges have been for you. Can you illuminate a little bit more about what some of the challenges have been for you?
The challenges I faced transitioning from high school to adulthood, I've experienced majority to be apathetic, standoffish, cold, distant, distrustful, where I've experienced a lot of people to stick to their clique and their clique, what they share in common and things of that nature. And if I didn't fit that certain norm, I was out. And they didn't have to directly tell me. I mentioned the term ghosting, where you end all communication with someone, or you don't respond to them at all, or you leave them out, or you walk on and they're just left. What happened?
What I do.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Hey guys, how's everybody doing? What's going on today? And then it's just, I don't know, just that walk away kind of vibe. And it's
difficult to overcome that and to regain your confidence in social situations. Like, okay, is the next person that I get to know going to do the same thing to me?
Exactly.
And how do I feel safe in that?
And I'm not wanting to pull back either from putting myself out there in the world. Mm-hmm. It's just, once I know like that particular setting of seeing someone like that, they're trying to wean away and disconnect and pull back or shut me out, I can't really keep putting myself in that position at the same time. But it's just a matter of, we can do better than that. No one deserves to feel left out, like they're abnormal, because if that person's abnormal, then we're all abnormal, because we all have certain struggles, weaknesses. We all have things about us that are imperfect, and that is okay. Right. But what is not okay is to make someone feel like they are dirt and like they are worthless.
And I think, sometimes people just simply don't learn that, the same way that we learn that. And I know for me, when I was younger, I had several different relationships that hurt me, or where I felt lonely, or just felt like I was in a space that other people didn't want to join me in. I guess that's the way I would put it. But what I chose to do during that time was to try and find people that maybe felt the same way. And I started reaching out more to other people outside of those groups and trying to see who I could build up or encourage. And when I got my focus off of myself and onto other people, and I started to develop new relationships with people. And so it's an opportunity, even though it's painful and difficult and challenging. Sometimes those challenges force you into a different way, or to see your eyes open for other people around you.
I've experienced that same thing.
Okay. And tell about that just a little bit.
Starting with you guys at Launch Buddies, right. I found a lot of common ground and a lot of ways to make differences from the difficulties that I'd faced, the difficulties faced in general. And you use it and you turn it into inspiration for others. Right. Showing how we can be, what we can do, and how we can move forward and do better. Right. And how these struggles don't have to determine our direction. Like, this is how things are going to go. This is going to be a struggling battle, and this is the way my life's going to go. No, that's not the case. These struggles and these battles that you're facing, this hardship, can be used for the greater good, because this can broaden people's horizons a little bit. This can open people's eyes.
It really can.
This is how we should not be, and this is how we can be. It's just a matter of shifting so that all individuals can feel good, but certain individuals who are used to a certain common ground. Okay, this person, I can't relate to them, so I don't really want to hang around with them or be around them. But you never know from a certain distance who someone is. Basically, whether you're texting them, texting is digital, right?
It is.
Texting's digital, so you don't really get the personal. You don't get the voice, you don't get the expression, you don't get to see them, you don't get to hear them. Like with certain people who may not fit your norm, you never know from that distance who they really are, and you never know what you could benefit from them. You don't know what you could get out of them if you keep them at that distance.
And it really takes being with people in the same space, not virtually, not behind a screen, not behind text, but going out and doing things and just hanging out with people where you get to know people on a totally different level when you have the face-to-face.
Precisely.
Right?
And that's what I'm all about is
Right.
face-to-face. During COVID, I get it. And especially if someone's sick or there's contamination or whatever, we want to make sure there's always virtual.
That's true.
There's always virtual.
There is.
So it's just a matter of staying in touch, but not just digitally, where I'm friends with a computer. I'm friends with somebody online. It's online. Yeah. What kind of
relationship?
That's
right.
There you go.
Okay. And let's change it up a little bit. I want to ask one more question, and it really is about how do you discover and maintain your passion for whatever you're doing, whether it's relationships, whether it's learning how to drive Koa and having that dream stay alive with your post-school goal with your career. All of those things are so important to continue to develop the passions that you have in life. This next part, we wanted to focus in on how your passions in school that you started way back then, how it translates and you continue to build on your passions in adulthood. Those things don't stop, right? And I know that each one of you have specific areas of interest that were really passions in high school that you are continuing on to do and to develop. Right? Koa, what about for you? I know you in high school, you were in cross country, right?
And track.
And you enjoyed that kind of exercise and connection with people?
Yes.
And how are you continuing that? Or what do you want to do with that to continue that passion?
I want to keep like a healthy heart and stuff.
Really important. Okay.
I like to keep my heart beating. Because I want to get all the sweat because I'm working harder too.
When you work out, yes, it's really important to sweat actually because it releases toxins from your body and you want that exercise to be part of your whole life, right?
You also want to make sure our bodies do that so we don't overheat. Oh,
yes, that's down. Of course. I know Sam has talked about that before, how your body, you do sweat, and part of that is the cooling process.
There you go.
Sam, what is that called? What's the word around that?
Temperature.
Your temperature is adjusted to your environment, and what's the word that starts with an H?
Hypothermia.
Oh, you could get hypothermia if your body gets too cold, right?
And hyperthermia if your body gets too hot.
What's the balance of it with an H?
Homeostasis.
I helped you out.
When my body has to get rid of things.
That's true, and to adjust to your environment, right?
Yep. And if you don't take care of your body and you don't remove stuff, then you get blockage.
That's true, and so that's one of the things that Koa, you're continuing to build that passion to stay healthy, to continue to exercise. Have you gone for a run lately?
Yes, with my mother.
So with your mom, you've gone running. Okay.
Yep.
So that's a nice activity to do with a family member. Mm-hmm. All right. And are you going to keep it up? Are you going to do some more?
I'll try on that.
Do you go to the gym?
No.
Does Darian, do you go to the gym?
I go to the gym and it is life-changing, I'm telling you. And it's good and it's a stress reliever. It's like an outlet. At the end of the day, you want to just release all of that, everything that just, you went through during that day. And just provide an outlet for it. It's a good outlet, and then after the gym, you go home, and I feel spent. I feel like I've done good. I feel like I've let it all out.
I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I really struggle with feeling anxious, with anxiety, and I'm feeling stressed. And going to the gym helps that so much. Would you say that's true for you?
That is one of the number one reasons why I go to the gym, because when you're not staying active, this goes for all of us, our stress begins to build up. Things in our body begin to react. And so you can be out of shape and not look like it. And what I call that, and my mom, actually, I got this from my mom, skinny fat, where, you're out of shape, but you don't look like it. But internally, you're out of shape. And when you're not doing anything, when you're not staying physical, you're not staying active, your body will respond and let you know you might feel sluggish. You might feel even more stressed out.
Yeah. And it may feel difficult to go to the gym or to have that discipline that you're going regularly. But the more you go, the better you feel.
The better. And it's when I play music to keep the gears turning and just stick with it at the end of the day. And what I mean by I feel spent, like I feel, that tired feeling, but I feel like that good kind of tired. Like I use my energy for good. And now I feel good after going to the gym, and now I can relax tonight.
And instead of keeping all of that energy inside, which a lot of times that ends up looking and feeling like stress and anxiety, and could lead to fear and feeling in your head and worrying about things that are going on. When you get your physical body going and working out, it's so much better. Just like your skin kind of helps you to balance with homeostasis. And like Sam, you were saying, your body needs certain things to balance out, right? Your internal body needs to balance out. And a lot of that is getting those endorphins going, getting the energy out and directing it into a certain way, like in the gym.
I couldn't agree
like
more.
Running. Yep, that's right. Okay, let's switch gears just a little bit to Sam. Sam, you were talking about one of the passions that you had growing up is traffic lights.
Yep.
When did this start for you?
2020, when I was 18 years old.
Really? Not before that, when you were a kid?
No, I didn't draw them because...
You started drawing in 2020, but when did you start paying attention to traffic lights?
In 2018, when I saw the flashing yellows come up in Oaksdale.
Oaksdale is where?
Avenue, that's in Renton.
Okay, so what about that traffic light stuck out to you? I know you really like these.
I think I was sad back on Oaksdale Ave that they took the red arrow light down.
Okay, so there was a change with the lights that kind of stuck with you, and then you started drawing traffic lights.
Yes.
All kinds of traffic lights.
Over Renton, Washington, I liked when they put all the red arrow lights on black poles instead of leaving them on the silver poles.
Okay.
It's because they wanted to make traffic better.
I see.
Back in 2013, but 2014, I was sad they put a flashing yellow up and I didn't want them to.
I know
but they had to change it because the traffic lights were dying.
I see. So they needed to upgrade or update their traffic lights. And so those were some visible changes that you noticed, but you started drawing them.
Yes, but I was kind of sad that year in 2013 because the Ave lights were all dying.
Right.
And plus, they all got put up flashing yellows, which I was happy with.
Why do you like flashing yellows?
Because they usually blink a lot.
Oh, you like that motion of the blinking light?
Yes, because it works, by the way.
You like seeing it working?
I like seeing it working, but I didn't like what happened when that old one stopped working in 2013.
You want them to stay updated?
Yes.
I understand. Part of the drawing that you do in your art therapy is that you draw a lot of traffic lights?
Yes.
Okay. Are you going to keep that interest alive, that passion going?
Yep, but I don't do them every day. I do them on a weekend.
And it's not something you want to do for work. You want to do it for enjoyment?
Enjoyment, like my personal time.
Okay. So you draw traffic lights. What else do you draw?
I draw puppies and people.
I noticed that you drew a rocket for Launch Buddies the other day.
Yes, that was from my
That's
class.
Very cool. We're going to post that up because I think it's really a great drawing that you did. You spent a lot of time on it.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
It
Are you
shows
tired?
what Launch Buddies is all about.
I'm getting off podcast.
You can be done. Let's switch gears now to you, Darian. I want to learn a little bit more about your passion and how that's developed from school to adulthood. And how do you answer all those questions that we were talking with Koa and Sam about?
My passions and interests are all about, it's not with becoming a motivational speaker, it isn't about gaining the stage light and gaining all the attention. It's about the lives I change. And when lives are changed and when someone's day is made, my own day is made. And so it's just a matter of when you see the differences in people. And, what I mean by differences in people, when differences are made in people, and it's incredible. And when it's for the greater good, and people at the end of the day, and they're smiling, and it's like they were having a horrible day, but then the tables turn and then their day is just turned around. And that's what I enjoy the most, is making people's day and helping them to discover new ways of how we can do better.
And I think you're just a natural encourager. You're born with that skill and ability and interest and aptitude to be able to do that for other people. And so finding those avenues that will work for you, how are you going to do that? Can you do it on a podcast? Can you do it through videos? Can you do it in curriculum that we're developing for special education classrooms around the nation? Could you do that for teachers and for students? I think you could. And so that's the avenue that we're looking to provide for you, and to see how we can continue to develop that skill and that passion that you have for encouraging people.
And I really appreciate that. And it just brings me joy to do these things, as helping people and to inspire them and to set a difference in their life, that brings me joy. When their day is made, it's just, wow, this is great. I'm really glad to see that you're doing well. I'm really glad to see that these people are doing well.
It really makes such a difference for you, for your own life personally, when you see other people encouraged, when you're linking arms with people and you really have a community that you're walking alongside and seeing where the needs are, seeing how you can encourage and lift up.
And that is my goal, is to globally become one with the community and to be there for people and reach them in the ways that they need to be reached.
That's awesome. As we wrap up, we've shared stories of resilience and determination, and now it's your turn, listeners, to take the reins and to do things in your own life, to explore your own passions, to advocate for yourself, and to remember you're a champion in your own story. Darian, anything else that you want to say?
Thank you all for joining us today. We hope you feel inspired and empowered to take the next steps in your journey.
Until next time, thank you for listening to the Launch Buddies podcast. We will look for another very engaging conversation around the questions that are asked in my transition portfolio. And until then, stay well and keep encouraging each other.